And we're recording.
Nice. It's good that we're recording.
How seamless and sexy that was.
Bad Boys 2 Geek Pants Camcast. A long time coming. I hope I remember the movie.
Yeah, I know. We watched it right before we were going to talk about it.
It's probably
so long since we watched the third already. I mean,
I should have rewatched both of them, but I thought, I'll be fine.
We'll be good. We'll be good. I got my phone here. I pulled up the cast list at least. Maybe that'll generate some memories while we're talking.
Yeah. I mean, because the nice part is, overall, I still really enjoyed the movie.
Bad Boys 2 is too long. That's my problem.
Yes, that's my problem too.
Way too long, and it's too long because Michael Bay was so full of his own shit by this point. He was just doing fucking slow-mo, humongous shots that lasted way too long as it is.
Yeah,
and because of that, you get this overblown, just almost 2.5 hour fucking movie that should not be that long.
I know, I saw no reason why it couldn't be a 2-hour movie, and that's that.
Yeah.
That's
why I loved For Life, because For Life was edited to the perfect length. It was just like the first movie again.
Well, and I was just about to say, I have no issues with a movie that's 2.5 hours long or 3 hours long, as long as it doesn't feel like it.
Right.
Like Lord of the Rings, for instance, didn't feel like a 3-hour movie.
No, because they have a story that continues, and it's just...
Exactly, but even though, a large part of all three of those movies is walking. It's Death Stranding live action, but it's still just but it never felt like, oh my God, this is a 3-hour fucking movie, or Endgame was a 3-hour movie.
Yep.
I at no point in time
Not once did it feel like 3 hours to me.
Is the movie over yet?
There's so much story in it. It continues at such a great pace. The problem with Bad Boys 2, and don't get me wrong, I do enjoy Bad Boys 2 because I love all the cast, everyone involved in it.
Yeah.
It's friggin' Bay's ego and it's style over substance, and because of that, it's just I get bored. I literally get bored while watching it.
The stuff that we did get was it was very by the numbers. So it was man, I just drew a blank on Martin Lawrence's character name.
Oh, Marcus Burnett.
It is Marcus. Okay, I was thinking Marcus. Is it Marcus?
Marcus and Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mike Lowry and Marcus. So the subplot with Marcus wanting to retire and not partner with Mike Lowry anymore was okay, all right. That's, it was a generic subplot, but I was like, okay, all right, I can handle that. But then they tacked on the fact that Mike Lowry was dating his sister behind his back. And then I was like, and I love Gabrielle Union.
Oh, me too.
I've always been a fan
awesome.
of her.
She's beautiful. I really want to watch her spin-off show from this, but I haven't yet.
She had a spin-off show of this?
Yeah, it actually just started last fall. It's called LA's Finest. It's her and Jessica Alba. But she's playing this character.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's kind of neat. But it was a generic subplot tacked on to a generic subplot. And I was just like, okay. And then, of course, you have the plot of the untouchable Mexican drug dealer.
Oh, I know.
Which I remember I liked him the first time I watched this, but when I rewatched this, I was like, and it's not that he's a bad actor or anything like that. He was just given a shitty role.
Yeah. What was he? Johnny Tappy or something like that?
Yeah, Johnny Tappy. And it was one of those where everyone that's in the movie is really good. It's just the movie itself isn't.
Yeah. You got Peter Stormare in there, always playing a bad guy, always great at playing a bad guy. This Tapia guy was just so generic and one note foreign bad guy to me that I was just like, why didn't they just get Stormare to
Except
play
when
the
he was
main bad
talking
guy?
with his daughter. Like when he was with his daughter, any scenes with his daughter, I was like, see, this is great.
Yes.
Everything else wasn't. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right. And then so you had like generic subplot where you knew at some point before the end of the movie, Mike was going to find out that Marcus didn't want to partner with him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So then you knew that there was going to be that generic BS sort of like, fine, we won't be partners anymore. But then, of course, they have to come together because when Marcus finds out that they're dating behind his back and he's just like, you're a piece of shit.
No, what's funny is that
daughter or the sister gets captured and they have to join together again one last time, ride or die. I was like,
It's funny you talking about that, about them arguing and fighting, breaking up and everything. I invited, before we decided to watch Bad Boys for Life together, I invited my dad to go watch it with me. He was like, I'll just watch it on video. I was like, why? He goes, because they always just fight and argue. And then after I watched For Life, and I told him how great it was, he was like, did they fight and argue? I'm like, yeah, they did. He goes, it's just, I don't, it's funny.
I don't know, but it was funny because they fought and they argued in the first one, but I had no issues with it because they were partners for so long. And this was like you said, this is before Michael Bay was Michael Bay, and you could see
you could see it
now knowing he's directed it and go, I think it's a Michael Bay movie,
Yeah.
And then so there was none of these excesses that he was partial to, because even when I said in the Bad Boys 1, there was I didn't like the flip subplot where they were each other. So Marcus was Mike pretending to be Mike Lowry, and Mike was living Marcus's life type of things. So they had that really shitty are you sleeping with my wife bullshit? And I was like, God, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. But other than that, I was like, everything else about the movie's great, right?
Yeah.
It was one of those where it was so good that it outweighed that one sort of negative thing where it was kind of like Invisible Man. So we watched Invisible Man last night, and Michelle and I both were kind of saying there was a couple of dumb things that they were doing at the beginning of the movie, but by the end of the movie, I was like, it was so good that it didn't necessarily erase that, but I was like, I wasn't going to sit there and go, yeah, but these parts here wrecked it for me. It was just one of those where it was so good that I was able to kind of shut that off and go, yeah, but man, it was such a good movie.
That's a great movie. I can't wait till we talk about that one, because that movie just, I figured it was going to be good because Leigh Whannell, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's the co-creator with James Wan on Saw. He did he wrote all of James Wan's movies for the longest time before James Wan got into Conjuring and Aquaman and all that.
Okay.
But he started directing on his own. He did one of the Insidious movies. He writes all those. He did one of those, and it was great. The way he directed was great. I was like, oh, wow, because James Wan did the first two, and then Whannell did the third. I was like, wow. But he also did Upgrade. Have you seen Upgrade?
Oh, okay. See,
now, Upgrade blew me the fuck away, and I was just like, wow, is this what he can do without James Wan around? Because
I was inspired by Upgrade too. I can't wait till we do a camcast.
Yeah, so we'll do Invisible Man and Upgrade eventually. But I mean, so him after Invisible Man, I'm very excited for his.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But anyway, without getting too off topic, because of course, upcoming camcasts will include Invisible Man,
yes,
and not so aged well Hollow Man.
I don't even think it was that aged that well when it came out, but
you know what's funny? Because I remember really liking it when it came out, and then I rewatched it, and I was just like, oh, oof.
I've only watched it once, so me rewatching that before we talk about it is going to be like. And I wasn't really fond of it when it came out. So.
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you flat out right now, because I have rewatched it recently. I'm not looking forward to rewatching it for the podcast, because it'll be a pain to get through, especially because Invisible Man was so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with Bad Boys 2, like I said, it's a shame because everyone is so good in it, and they do really try their best to elevate such a shitty generic script. Because like the bad guy, I can't remember his name in real life, but he was the main bad guy in Jack Ryan season 2.
Okay, I still haven't watched season 2 actually.
You got to watch it. You got to watch it. I realized when I was watching it the first time, I was like, it's a bit more like they're treating him more like Jason Bourne. But I forgot completely that he was a military guy before he was an analyst, so he would be able to do not necessarily Bourne style missions, but he would be able to handle a gun, and he would be a bit of an ass kicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you like season 1, you'll like season 2.
I love season 1. I can't wait to watch it. I've been watching John Krasinski's Some Good News on YouTube every week.
I watched the first one with Michelle. I haven't seen it since, but I want to check it out just because it looks like a lot of fun.
His first episode was just so much fun, and as a humongous Office fan, I was loving every second of it.
Yeah, like Michelle's a huge Office fan. I'm a big Office fan, but I'm not a huge Office fan. Like I will say, I'm more of a Brooklyn Nine-Nine guy.
Oh yeah, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine too, but The Office that's a show that I could put on every night and never ever get sick of it.
That's how I am with, strangely enough, Archer and Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah,
so, Archer I could have in the background all day long.
Yeah, I love it. So like episode 2 is really funny. Like it's funny and it's crazy what he pulls off on that episode. But now number 3 just came out. Anyways. Nevertheless, it's really good shit to watch during these crappy times. It does make you feel good. But getting back to this movie about murderers and drugs.
Yeah. Like, I always go back to the scene where Marcus accidentally ingests the ecstasy.
Okay.
And I always because we talked about how it was overly long and stuff like that. And I always go like, well, that whole sequence could have been shortened.
It could have been shortened. It could have been cut. The only good thing about it that I fully enjoy is that it really lets Joe Pantoliano's character, the captain, it shows him at home, and you get a better sense of who he is outside of work. I love that character with a passion.
Yeah,
I love that actor with a passion.
I know, me too. Like he's one of those guys where he shows up and I perk up and I go, oh, okay. Like I remember the first time I watched, actually the only time I've watched Memento. And I perked up with Joe Pantoliano and Carrie-Anne Moss. I was immediately like, oh, okay, all right, because
like Matrix reunion.
Because like I was unfamiliar with Guy Pearce's work, and I was completely unfamiliar with Christopher Nolan. This was the first movie I'd ever seen by him, and you were like, you got to watch this, so I watched it with you. And I remember being like, okay, all right, this guy is good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think if it wasn't for Joe Pantoliano, I probably would have been like, I don't know if I want to continue watching this movie. Right? But anyway, yeah. So that part I thought was really good. But that whole sequence was, like I said, too long. Because they had to get Kitty joke in there. They had to get all that, grossness of being in the morgue and stuff. Like, I understand that they had to show that scene to show how he was getting the drugs in, which, made sense. And I was like, that's really smart. But that whole sequence was played for a longer laugh than it needed to be. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even that funny, in my opinion. Like, I mean, and I like Martin Lawrence. In fact, his stand-up is crazy. It's different. It's definitely different. But I'm a big fan of him in general. And I always, I root for him. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. So I'm pulling for him. It's like Tracy Morgan. Like, I'm pulling for him. I'm like, come on. Like, just, you guys got this, right? So, but it was just one of those where I was like, you could have cut parts of that down. It didn't need to be it felt like it was on for half an hour.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, all the scenes in the movie feel like they take so long. The opening with the Ku Klux Klan, that whole opening is so long. And it doesn't even feel like Bad Boys until they take off their masks, and then there they are.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's a very strange feeling movie to me. It feels like Bruckheimer said, let's do it this way. And then Michael Bay just said no to everything he wanted to do.
Yeah, I have to agree.
They had too much power on that movie.
Yeah.
And that's actually the movie where I started slowly not liking Bay as much anymore because I love Bay in the 90s. I can watch his 90 movies all day long.
Well, yeah, like I have to agree because I remember when, and we talked about this in the Camcast for Bad Boys 1, where I was like, I forgot how good he could be because that was such a good movie.
But that was him as a young filmmaker who had reins on him. He had producers. He had Bruckheimer. Bruckheimer did all his movies in the 90s. He had Bruckheimer going, we're going to do it this way.
Bruckheimer was the lead hand there, so he was able to say, no, we're going to cut this or tone this down or whatever without any pushback because, like, what was Bay going to say? This is his first movie, right? And they gave him a big budget for this movie. So, and he was with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, so it was just like, yeah, I'll listen to whatever.
What was he doing before Bad Boys? Like music videos, and did he even do porn? Did I hear something like Michael Bay did porn once? Like he used to do porn?
I don't know. I don't remember hearing that. Although, I mean, wouldn't surprise me. I think it was music videos that he did.
A different kind of explosion.
Gross. That's gross. But you're enjoying that. I'll let you enjoy that one.
Thank you for letting me have that one. I'm actually, I don't know. Googling this might be an awful idea. Michael Bay porn.
Yeah, it might be.
You know what? Maybe I'll just Wikipedia him instead. I don't want to chance what's going to come up with that.
Another part that I thought was really, really long was the end sequence.
The end is very long. Everything in the movie feels like it's just a short amount of like scenes and everything, but they all take very long to happen.
Yeah, I'll agree with that assessment. It takes a really long time getting through what shouldn't take that long. Like I remember reading an article about real spies critique movies, right? So a handful of real spies critiquing Fallout in particular, and they were like, for the most part, the way they go about the missions is pretty close to being real, except for the fantastical nature of it, just in a shorter amount of time. So, like, these missions would take longer because of all the prep work, right? Like, you would have 2 to 3 months to figure out patterns of these people and get all this intel on, the fortress and the security systems and the people and everything like that. So, like, 4 to 6 months to get that intel, and then another like 4 to 6 months to get all the approvals and permissions and stuff like that to actually even to attempt the mission. So like within about a year before you get to that point, right? Mm-hmm. But other than that, they were like, yeah, like for the most part, it's just a condensed thing. Whereas like this movie, it feels like it should have been condensed, and they just went, yeah, we'll just stretch everything out. Just everything's got to come out. And you're like, oh.
It needed way tighter editing. It's.
Oh yeah.
Michael Bay never did porn. I guess just the way he shoots women seems kind of porny at times.
He is a dirty old man, though.
He actually started out as George Lucas's intern.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting. I had no idea. Yeah. How about young Michael Shannon in this? That threw me off.
I forgot all
about. When I watched this originally, I never knew who Michael Shannon was. So to rewatch it now and see Michael Shannon and go, oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a legit surprise to me too. I saw the credits and I was like, what? He's in this movie? And I was like, really? And then of course, like in the opening sequence, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, he is in this scene. Yeah. Henry Rollins also.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Doing his best Henry Rollins impression of a DEA guy.
Good old Henry Rollins. I actually just saw him in, I watched Johnny Mnemonic a few nights ago.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that since it came out. So I was like, obviously the CGI has not aged well, but.
Yeah, but like even still, it's still a really good movie.
It is a really good movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I've seen Dolph Lundgren and Keanu Reeves fighting each other. That's awesome. It's something you wouldn't see today.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe in John Wick 5 or 8.
Maybe. I don't know. Bad Boys 2. And another thing too, like in the first and the third, they feel like cops. And this, it feels like they're up against unstoppable. They're doing like FBI, CIA stuff in this.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like they're police in this movie.
No, it doesn't. And very much like superhero aspects to this.
Absolutely.
Where like in the first one, yeah, they were top cops, and you could see they were top cops.
Yep.
But they still felt human.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Whereas in this one, I wouldn't be surprised if they were bulletproof.
Yeah, no, this one they definitely go the John McClane on a fighter jet style route.
Yeah, very much so.
Like,
very
what the fuck? When did you become a superhero?
That's still that was the turning point for me with Bruce Willis or John McClane as a character when he was sliding off the wing of a jet fighter, and I went, "What the fuck happened?" Never mind that he beat the shit out of a martial artist woman. Like beat the shit out of her too. Like there was no like he got lucky type of thing. I was like, what is happening? But yeah, so overall, it is a movie.
It is a movie.
It is a movie. It is a well acted movie. That's about it. That's really all.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. It was basically, it was nice to see Will Smith and Martin Lawrence together again, because this was what, 2001 or 2 or something. It was a good 8 years or so after the first.
Yeah, something like that.
So it was good in that sense to see them together, and we got to see this in the theater because we were old enough by then.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I rewatched it again, and I remember the first time I watched this, I felt disappointment, and I rewatched it now after watching the first. I was just like, still disappointing.
Well, because like you spend the first 20 minutes to half an hour of this movie kind of going like, yeah, you get that nostalgia hit where you're like, yeah, all right, we get to revisit these characters, and then you get hit with your first like lame subplot where Marcus is like Zen and he doesn't want to do all that violence shit that Mike can't help but do, and you're like, okay, all right, like I guess we can get through this. And then you get hit with the second subplot of Mike dating Marcus's sister, and you're like, okay, all right. And then of course you get hit with the drug dealer subplot, which isn't anything new either, and you're just like, okay. So you spend the next 2 hours like wanting to like the movie and realizing that you can't. And you're going like, I waited 8 years for this, and this is what I got. Like, okay, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, like for me, it is one of those where it just felt like you got through it. It didn't feel like, oh wow.
It shouldn't feel like a chore to watch this, and it does. It feels like it's one of those sequels where, and a lot of franchises have those sequels where you're like, oh, here we go. If I'm watching them in order, we know Mission Impossible definitely has those sequels.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But now, honestly, I feel like I'll probably just watch 1 and 3 all the time, and
that's where I'm at
too. I have no reason to watch 2. Unless the fourth happens and there's a character or something from the fourth that happened in the second, and I feel like I need to watch the second to get into that.
And even then, I don't know if I'll do it.
And then even then, I have a good enough memory where I can remember what happened in the second. I don't need to rewatch.
Like if they reintroduce Marcus's sister, then which I can't remember her name. I know it's Gabrielle Union, but
was it Sydney?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
No, wait, was it?
Was it
it was
Sydney Burnett?
Yeah, and but even then, I would just kind of go, oh yeah, but as long as they recast, like they cast Gabrielle Union again, then okay, fine, I'm okay. I don't need to, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a bummer to me. It's a bummer. I feel like if they cut 20 minutes minimum off of this movie, it would have been a solid, tight, awesome sequel.
Yeah, and especially like they made such a big deal about the dating subplot. So then when you watch number 3, and they don't even mention it.
Right? I mean, sure, it's like, what? Fuck.
They like sweep it under the rug of him like can't settling down type of thing. And you're like,
they briefly touch on the third. He says, even when you were dating my sister or something like
that's
that.
Right. That's right.
Very briefly. But I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. So overall, yeah, Bad Boys 1 is definitely better than 2.
Oh, 100%. In fact, like it's kind of hard for me to edge out. Like I would say, I would edge out. I want to edge out Bad Boys 1 just because it was the first movie and it set the template. But I'm kind of leaning more towards Bad Boys 3 as being the best of the best. But it's really close. I think it would just come down to mood, really.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. It's a tough call. I'm the same way. It kind of edges back and forth. I mean, we'll talk about that more when we talk for life. But it's just the main thing here is number 1 and 3 are like this, and number 2 is way the fuck off the screen.
Yeah, like it's really good. Like, it's down there for me. Like it's down there in that pit where Mission Impossible 2 is hanging out. And Mission Impossible 3 is kind of getting closer to that pit, actually, because I rewatched 3 recently, and I was like,
3
stuff is really good, but
3 is hard for me.
Yeah, like
I mean, 2 I can watch and I can enjoy because it's so stupid, and I got that nostalgia factor to it. Like I watched it in high school with my buddies. I got good memories attached. 3 is just I watched 3 and it's just like, whew.
Yeah, whenever you watched it recently, I was like,
it still has that TV episode feel to me.
The stuff they did with Ethan and wanting to have a life type of thing is more interesting now. But everything else around it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It's very much like a TV movie.
Yeah, it is. It's
like good old J.J. Abrams.
Good old Abrams is better now. I mean, that was his first movie. I'll give him, and he was coming right off of TV. So
yeah. So I'll give him props for that. But
definitely pick things up more with Star Trek and Super 8 and Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. So congratulations, Bad Boys 2. You're with Mission Impossible 2 is 2 of my least favorite movies in a franchise.
Just gonna stop watching the second movie in all franchises.
No. I mean,
no, because then I wouldn't watch Winter Soldier.
Well, that's another one. Dark Knight.
Amazing. Yeah, there's some out there.
Just kidding. Avengers 2 is not that good.
Yeah, Age of Ultron. That falls into the curse of 2.
Yeah, it does fall into the curse of 2. Like that one there is just because I think part of it is you want it to be so much better.
Yeah.
Especially because you have Ultron, and the comic book version of Ultron is like fucking scary.
Yeah, horrifying. And in this, they went full on like Mandarin style and just wrote it.
It's not even Mandarin style. It's just you got James Spader doing his impression of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It's like,
it was disappointing. Anyways, that was Bad Boys 2. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Comment down below. Let us know what you think. You can see us on YouTube right here. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter. Brain farted now. Instagram. There's the other one.
There it is.
GeekPantsMedia.com. And then, you can listen to us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Boom, boom, bang, bang.
That's right.